Hey, everybody. Welcome to Making Connections. I hope everybody's having a marvelous day. So glad to be with you guys again today. Saturday and Mondays are two of my, well, I got to add Sunday though. But Mondays and Saturdays are two of my favorite days because I get to spend time with you all. And so, you saw, as always, as we open up, we try to show flyers of different community events and things that are happening. If you didn't get the maybe the number or the location, I try to share it on my page as well. So make sure you go to Making Connections with Aly and check all those events out. And so you guys also know that October is one domestic violence awareness, but it's also breast cancer awareness month. And so today we're going to be talking with Miss Melissa Rivers and
Right.
tell us a little bit about her journey and just the different things that she's involved in. But honey, when I saw that she was a peace coach, I was like, oh yeah, I need to connect with her. Oh, especially on today. But Miss Rivers, how are you today?
I am great, Allie. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on your show.
Yes, absolutely. So, just because this is your first time on the show, I want to give you an opportunity before we get started, just for you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, great. So, my name is Melissa Rivers. I am the owner of an organization called Origins of Peace. And what I do there, I am a creative peace coach. So, I help coach people who've gone through some type of challenge or some type of issue or trial or tribulation. I help them organize their thoughts about that. And if it's something that they're passionate about and they want to be of service to others who are dealing with those same issues, I help them either turn that into a business where they can coach others through it, or some way to express how to recover and grow through it gracefully.
Okay, awesome. All of that sounds good. First of all, like you said, just getting the peace for yourself,
Yeah.
initially, because, I think that was the last show we were talking about. Sometimes you just don't realize how much you've taken on, how much you've taken into your spirit, how much, is rolling around in your head. You think, well, I can't sleep because such and such, but it's usually because we have so much going on in our minds, right?
Hmm.
We can't get our minds to stop calculating and thinking of deadlines and what we did and what we didn't do. So, peace is so important. And a lot of times we pray for a lot of things, but we don't pray or ask for peace.
Yeah, yeah. So one thing that I like to start with as I speak with individuals is self-reflection. So it just gives the opportunity to look at the 8 dimensions of wellness and how you're showing up in all of those areas. So we kind of rank them. It's a process because to me, I find the best way to go through something is to actually write it down, create a blueprint, maybe map it out, and then follow the steps until you get out of the woods and into a clear place where you can kind of think through it clearly. So there is a lot of just getting out of your emotions, getting out of your head, getting out of your thoughts, and actually writing it down to make a plan of action.
And do you find that sometimes, even when you're trying to, do the blueprint, you know, it's just hard to maybe, I don't want to say hard, but, people have a hard time maybe finding out, well, what really is going on,
Hmm.
because you've just been so busy.
Yeah.
How do you just be like, okay, so what do I need peace from? What do I need peace in? Is that like part of the process in getting
Oh,
there?
that's part of the process because you have to break it down to the simplest form. There are a lot of symptoms from not being at peace, or just feeling like you're not able to rest, you're not able to think clearly, you're not able to organize, you're not able to work, you're not able to sleep. There, those are symptoms, but it's like I coach them through the process of breaking it down as simple as you can to figure out exactly what the root of the issue is. And once we break it down, we build a foundation from there and then build them back up.
And so, and I keep hearing you say process. So,
Mhm.
You mean to tell me that I can't just one day be like, okay, I'm just letting this go. I'm at peace. Okay, I feel good. And then it's over. You mean I gotta maybe keep doing
Oh
it?
yeah, you got to keep doing it. People will always tell you, "Hey, just let it go, just move on," or it's going to be okay, it's going to be better. But it's not that simple because the things that we experience, they're real. And if you're an intuitive person, if you're a reflective person, if you're a person who is intentional about your purpose, those things are going to affect you. And you really, sometimes you have to spend time with them, understand what the lesson is that you're supposed to learn from the experience that you're having at that particular point. So all of that plays into a part of it. I like to call it heal, recover, and then grow. So part of that healing process is to sit with what you've gone through for a little bit and just understand how it really affected you. And then once you come to somewhat of an understanding of that, then you're ready to break it down into its simplest form to find out exactly, what am I experiencing and why.
Okay, okay. And so I guess, what I'm also hearing is that I don't have to be a robot. I can't pretend like I don't have feelings. I can't
Mhm.
pretend like that didn't hurt me and, just be the bigger person.
No, you don't have to pretend at all. And I think the biggest growth opportunities come from expressing yourself purely. I mean, we all go through things, we all have to deal with things. Um, and just knowing how those things affected you as a person help you become more compassionate to other people. And it helps you show up better in the world to know how you should present yourself to others, or if you're trying to get a point across, not be so curt or not be so unkind when you're dealing with other people. And also when you're dealing with yourself, if you learn how to grant yourself some grace, that
Mhm.
that goes a long way.
True, true, true. I love that. Give yourself grace.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. Well, a couple of different things that you said. Like one thing is, I've talked about on the show before with other guests is that, even the scripture, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Sometimes, and same thing, give your neighbor the grace, the mercy that you would give yourself. And I think sometimes we're actually doing that because we're not giving ourselves that grace and mercy. We
Exactly.
are loving their neighbor the way we love ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah, you there's a lot to be said in giving yourself grace, loving on yourself, and a lot of people don't know how to do that. So it does start with self-acceptance, self-love, self-care. And a lot of people think when you say no or when you decide not to show up for certain things that you may be acting out of selfishness or like you don't want to be bothered, or I call it the bob and weave effect. You pick and choose your battles. You show up for what you can do, what you can show up for. Hey, grant yourself some grace because all of that plays into a part as how you feel as a person and how you're showing up for others as well.
Hmm, awesome. Well, let me ask you, what made you start doing this work? How did you get involved with this?
So when I was diagnosed with, well, it goes back before I was diagnosed with cancer. So around like 2010, I would first say, I started writing poems and they were like, it was just like out of the blue. I started writing these really in-depth poems that were like spiritual in nature. They were based off a lot of biblical scriptures,
Mhm.
but it was like things that I had gone through, like my great great grandmother's passing, how that affected me, the passing of my father, when I got married, um, when I had my daughter, and what she meant to me. All of those things were in me, and these were feelings that I had never outwardly expressed. So I had like written this book of poetry just like out of the blue, and I was like, huh. So, all of these are things that, were like major events in my life. They played a pivotal part in how I am as a woman today. So it just drove this passion in me. So I'm like, if I could just do that from what I've experienced and the thoughts and the feelings that I had, inside, then And not only did I write this book, but it helped me, to categorize how I was feeling and to express it outwardly. And I was like, well, if this helped me as much as it did, if I showed other people how to use this process, how to use their feelings and emotions instead of beating themselves up about things that happen or grieving continuously over and over, years and years over someone who they lost or, loved at one point but no longer there. If I could show them how to use this and use it to benefit themselves, then that would be awesome. And that was really the birth of Origins of Peace. And it's just about finding peace in those situations and those experiences that you've had and just using it to express yourself better, to show up better, to be better to others, and most of all, to be kind to yourself.
Wow. And I was just even thinking about, when you experience the death of a loved one, especially if, especially if it's like immediate family and like maybe you've been the caregiver or,
Mhm.
a lot of times people are just expecting you, okay, so what's next? When's the funeral going to be? What are we going to put them in? I mean, you really don't have that time to be like, oh my gosh, my
Mhm.
dad just passed away. My mom, my best friend, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And, you just keep on going. And it's like, then it's like, well, it's time to go back to work. So get yourself together because I got to go back to work, or, got to figure out what to do with all the stuff at the house. And so I think you're so right that we have got to take time. And it seems like we don't have time
yeah.
because it's always a deadline, it's always something to get done. But
Mhm.
we have got to start carving out that time
That's right.
to sit with our thoughts, sit with our feelings, to be angry, to be upset. And it's okay to feel those things.
Yeah,
Now, of course, we don't want you to stay there, but I think you have to process it to overcome it.
that's right.
Because if you don't, I think a lot of times you live with it for years and it's coming out because you haven't processed it, right?
I agree. I totally agree. And there are so many lessons that you can pick up in just sitting still for a minute. I have been a caretaker in situations where family members have been really close and they've passed away. And it is a difficult process, not only while you're there caring for them, but once they pass and you have all these responsibilities that you have to take care of and make sure everything gets done. So sometimes you don't take that time and then you crash. And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, what's happening? What's going on? How do I deal with these feelings? How do I get myself back? But I find that when you slow down, you take the time to feel the feelings, God always has like a nugget, a treasure there waiting for you. Like, but you have to be quiet enough and in tune enough to get it.
Mhm.
Like my father passed when I was 2. I've always heard stories about how close we were before he passed and how we were just inseparable. But honestly, I'm 46 years old and my daddy has been with me my whole entire life. There are just like
Mhm.
little signs and signals that I get throughout different points in my life to know that, hey, my daddy's still right here. Like, daddy, was that you? Just those little nudges of encouragement and support and
Mhm.
those, hey, it's going to be okay, when that's nothing but a father's love, couldn't have been anything else. And I think because I take the time to stop, to be quiet, to listen, to learn, I think because I take that time, then it's that extra, hey, you need to know this, or hey, you need to watch out for this, or hey, good job on that. I think it's those extra nuggets that I've been given along the way in my life.
Awesome. And just it, with what you're saying too, I think taking that time, because sometimes when you haven't come to that place of peace or just, even for the day, I'm not even talking about this is it.
Yeah,
I've reached this, but even for that day, it's like you just struggle through the day.
yeah.
You can't get anything done, nothing's going right, and then you have to keep going back, and then you just add more frustration,
Hmm.
whereas you just be like, because sometimes I'll do that, like with projects or even with the show. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I don't know what's wrong with these people. I don't know why they're not showing up. I don't know why they're not responding. But
Right.
I can't keep. Hey, are you showing? Hey, I just be like, okay, Lord, maybe this is just not the right timing.
Yeah.
It's not the right season. You know, I can move on, but let me go down here and get some coffee. Let
That's
me,
right.
work on something else. And that is truly okay, because then it'll be like, well, you know what? You forgot about this person. And, well, in this season and what you're talking about, hey, how about this?
Yeah.
So a peace, I'm learning, is so
Yeah.
important.
So I call that work in the schedule instead of allowing the schedule to work you, because we all know that all things work together for our good. So, hey, if that didn't work out this time, maybe 6 weeks from now it will. But
Right.
that's how I grant myself some grace. I'm not going to stress about it. Where it's going to be okay. It's just going to be fine, because if it doesn't fit into this hole, it'll fit into that square.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So true, so true.
Mhm.
And so why do you think we get so antsy, like something doesn't work like today? Something, but then we don't just, take it as it's not the season, it's not the time, but we're like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm just not the one to do this. Maybe I'm not good enough. What
Yeah.
happens with all those emotions?
Well, a couple things. The first goes back to loving yourself, because loving yourself, you would know you are fully able and capable to make this thing happen. You were put here for a reason. Can't nobody do it like you do. So shine on. But then, secondly, in general, people like to be in control. When
Mm-hmm.
you give up control, you're putting it in the hands of someone else, or you're relying upon another source to make things come together for you, which is your vision, which is hard to do. But that's where it all goes back to grace. I'm here for a reason. I was put in this spot for a reason. I designed this business for a reason. Whom God wants me to interview, it's gonna happen. They're gonna come. He gonna pull it together. I ain't gotta worry about that.
Right,
So that's just
right.
kind of, yeah, that's kind of my motto, how I roll.
Cool. And I think it's life is just interesting. Like I might have that concept. Like I guess maybe because I've been doing this long enough
Hmm.
that if the people don't show up or if they say no, but I might have another area in my life where I'm branching out, and if people say no, I'm like, do I really want to do this? Do I want to put the time and effort into this? So
Yeah.
why?
Yeah, that's that imposter syndrome where you think you can only be good at one thing, and that's the thing that you're comfortable with.
Mm,
But you're multi-talented, multifaceted. You have the ability to be creative in more than one area. I have origins of peace, but I also have planters with soul. Planters with soul is flower pots. That has nothing to do with coaching. It has everything to do with being creative, because they're very uniquely made flower pots. But along with planters with soul, I have agave sweets, which focuses on natural beverages, because I choose to put natural things in my body and I want to know what I'm putting in there. So I created this beverage line. In addition to those, I have KD Designs, which is accessories, where I decorate earrings, candle holders, I make head wraps, I make anything, whatever it is that I need to express at that given moment. That's what I'm going to put my hands on. And that's because nobody told me that I just have to do one thing. So if you tell me I can't hear you, I don't know what you're saying. I don't speak that language, because I have the ability to do a multitude of things, and that's what I'm gonna do. So it's just like that's the way I talk to myself, and that's the way I like to coach my clients to speak to themselves, so that they know, people will try to pigeonhole you all the time and keep you stuck in a place because that's what they're comfortable with. You got to get used to being uncomfortable. And while you're being uncomfortable, you grant yourself some grace to do it. Because no, it ain't going to be perfect the first time. Might not even be perfect the 20th time. But you showing up, you making the effort, you repeating the process. What comes after that? Perfection. Because you're going to keep on doing it. And it might not be perfect to someone else, but it's going to be perfect to you. And that's going to be you showing up in that time, delivering what you need to deliver in the time that you've been allowed to do it.
That's it. And in your way,
That's it. Yeah.
because, and I mean, because I tell anybody I've been to therapy before. So, but
Yeah.
what I don't, where maybe I didn't get what I needed, because I don't want a therapist just to, how can I say this and be polite? Um, she was probably good for somebody else, but she just
Hmm.
wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I need some real directness. I need some real, okay, Allie, quit playing.
Yeah.
We discussed this 3 weeks ago. We gonna do this every session, or do you want to move on? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And
Right.
so, even if you have reached out for help, whether it's in your business, whether it's therapy, whether it's parenting, whatever it is, and
Hmm.
you didn't get what you needed, you know, keep searching,
Yeah.
because the one that's out there for you and has, maybe the key to this other door or an idea is out there. So, don't get frustrated. Don't quit. Don't just sit and lack, you know?
Yeah. That's right. And you also have to, as you're praying to find whomever that therapist or whoever that resource may be, pray for someone who's showing themselves some grace and self love too, because there's not just one prescriptive way to handle any situation. You want someone who is comfortable in expressing and being creative in helping you to find your solution. If someone, I know there's standards and regulations that therapists have to adhere to, and we appreciate that because those are put there for our protection.
Exactly.
But you also want someone who understands that when they're not making that connection with you, that, hey, we got to bob and weave, we got to shift this thing, we got to make the adjustments, we got to check and adjust because this person showed up, to get help from me. So if I'm not being effective, help me to be effective.
Exactly. Because I know that, and I was just listening to some people talk or whatever, and I overheard the conversation, and one of them was like, "Well, she didn't tell me to do this. Why did she tell me to do this? And she didn't tell you, because you two are in different places. I mean,
Right.
you might even still be experiencing maybe the same thing, maybe going through breast cancer,
Right.
maybe losing a loved one, maybe the loss of a job,
Yeah.
anxiety, depression,
Yeah.
the same title, but not in the same fashion or even in the same stage.
That's right. That's exactly right. And we're all uniquely designed, so it's all going to show up a little different. It's funny you said that because when I was diagnosed with cancer, I was experiencing divorce. I had the
Mm.
cancer diagnosis come through, and then my very last day of radiation, I lost my job. So there were three crises that I was dealing with at one time. And it's like, Lord, you know, how do you deal with this? Which one do you deal with first?
Yeah.
So, that's, after I completed treatment, he set me down for a whole year. It was exactly 1 year to the day before I got another job. So I had to sit down, feel the feelings, go through it, make sure I understood, what lessons I was supposed to learn from each ordeal, and then go from there.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, now, Lord, just one of those is enough, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so, oh my gosh, well, how did you get? I mean, let's just even talk about the diagnosis. Like,
Yeah.
were you getting your breast exam? Did they find it in the mammogram? What happened with that?
So I was 39, so I was too young for just to have
Um,
a regular mammogram. So this is why I tell you, I talked about those nuggets earlier because there was no sign, no symptom, no lump, no pain, no nothing. There was just a nudge that said, Melissa, I need you to go get a mammogram. And I was like, a mammogram? I'm not even old enough to get a mammogram yet. So I just kind of ignored it and let it go away. But then it kept returning, like, I need you to go get a mammogram. So I called. I was like, can I schedule a mammogram? And they were like, well, you're not quite old enough, but we do have a mobile truck that'll be in your neighborhood on such and such day, so you can go. So I showed up. Um, had a hard time getting on because they were like, well, who told you to come? We don't have an authorization. You're not 40,
Mm.
but let's go ahead and do it. And thank God they did, because, they did it. Um, she told me afterwards that there was some dense tissue and that I would probably have to go into the office for a follow-up visit, which did occur. And then it was confirmed through an ultrasound and a blood test that I did have breast cancer.
Wow.
So those are those things that I talk about, those nuggets that God will give you just by sitting still for a little bit. And that's what I credit it to. So I had in the midst of receiving my diagnosis, I had reconnected with a friend on Facebook, and she had just been diagnosed with breast cancer as well, and we were both the same age. So that along with those urges was like, hey, you need to go and get a mammogram completed.
Wow.
Yeah.
And see, just the you keep talking about those urges and those nudges. We have to pay attention to those things.
Yeah.
I know, again, there are standards. You need to be this age, or have it in your family history
Right.
and things like that. But nobody knows you like you. Nobody gets those. You have to pay attention
Yeah, you
and
have to pay
follow through.
attention.
And I mean, what if you went and they said no? Great,
Yeah.
but you know, but you follow through.
Right. That's right. The way I feel, I know God designed me. He created me. He knows me inside and out. So who am I to ignore what he's trying to say to me? Like, who am I to disregard the message that he took the time to deliver to me? Like, who am I to do that? Like, that's like disrespectful to me. So, I try, even though it doesn't make sense, I try my hardest to be obedient and listen to what I'm being told.
Wow.
And it works out. It works out.
So you had to have chemotherapy.
I
Did
didn't
you
have
have to get?
chemo. It was actually stage one. It was caught early.
Okay.
So I had surgery, and it was followed up by 36 rounds, I think, of radiation.
Radiation. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I don't even know what to ask about those. Like, if you were sharing your story with somebody, what would you tell them about that? That.
I would say tell your story. If you find yourself in this position where you've been diagnosed and you're feeling ashamed of it, or you're feeling scared, I would say share your story. I went to a lot of support groups. There's a group here in Charlotte, well, a house. They call it the Pink House, but it's like Carolina Breast Friends. But they have a lot of support groups online and in person. They have a lot of integrative health initiatives. So I would just say, don't be afraid to show up in that community, because it's like the most supportive community that I've ever been a part of. Like, my first day going there, and I was kind of sitting over in the corner because it was still new to me. I was still dealing with, having this diagnosis. But this young lady walked up to me and she introduced herself, and she just started talking about her symptoms, what she experienced, how she was diagnosed, which triggered the conversation from me. I could share, my diagnosis as well. So we went through things to eat, things to avoid, and the common thing was stress. Whatever it is that you're stressing about, whatever, it's not that big of a deal, because stress is like the number one killer, period. It's like the common factor in so many things. So, just don't be afraid to share your story and make a connection with people, because that's honestly the love and the compassion is where your total healing comes from.
Mm. And that's so important. And I often have said this too. Back in the day, I'd be like, I was all with Tina Turner. What's love got to do with it?
Yeah.
It'll be all right. I can do this on my own. I don't need this, that, or the other. But as I grew up,
Yeah.
I realized that you need somebody. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You need because you need somebody who's already been there, somebody who has overcome, or even if they're still dealing, but it's not good to be on the okay, even like with alcoholics and people who are doing drugs, they can't encourage one another to come off because each one of them is feeling that high today. I need it today. Well, I need it today. So, you go with that back and forth. But it's so important to get those who are strong, those
Hmm.
who understand what you're going through. Because, like you said, even though it's nothing that you've done, there are people that I know the story that feel embarrassed,
Yeah.
you know. Um, you might lose your hair, you might have to have one breast removed or what have you. And so
Yeah.
there's a lot
There is so much.
with that.
And even if it's not someone who's actually been through it, you just need someone with a made up mind. Someone whose mind is made up to help you walk through it, to knowledge share, to just be there to hold your hand if you need it, just to be there to sit. Like if I don't need you to touch me, I don't need you to say nothing to me, don't. But just stay here
Right. That's
for a
true.
minute with me, please. You just need someone who has a made up mind. And yeah, like for me, I didn't experience chemo, but radiation took all the hair, out of the center of my head. So it was
Mm,
like in the very center, there was nothing there. So it's like, that's embarrassing. How do you deal with it? What am I doing with this? And then
mm,
as a woman, you deal with the scar, you deal your self-esteem, it does take a hit. So there's like a whole breakdown that you go through. But then, those people, those loved ones that God has put into your life, they help build you back up, even though they might not understand the role that they're playing in your life. They are there and they are building you back up.
wow. And so let's even talk to, what would be a piece of advice or some wisdom that you would give somebody who is a caregiver, who has decided, oh, well, this is my friend. I want to help, but I also don't want to hinder. I don't want to just be in their face all day. Hey, you okay? Da, da.
Yeah.
But I want them to know that I'm here. What kind of advice would you give to them?
I would say have the conversation with the person that you're caring for, because we all need different things and we need them at different points. So sometimes they might need you to be up in their face. Sometimes they might need you to hold them. It's needed at different times, but then sometimes they just might need you to back off. So I would say seriously, have a conversation about what does it look like for me to care for you? What is the best way that I can serve you through this situation?
Mm, I mean, that's a smart way to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
because like you said, I mean, you may have helped another friend, but they didn't experience it in the same way. So, trying to have that same, like you said, cookie cutter process doesn't work. So, I mean, a lot of times we just don't want to have conversations. Why don't we want to talk to one another? Why don't we want to
Right.
just be real and ask the questions?
Yeah. To me, when I was going through my journey, I always just pictured a road, a 2-lane street with the yellow lines going down the middle. And I would keep in my mind, now this is me visualizing, I would keep my mind focused on the two yellow lines. Don't pull me to the left, don't pull me to the right.
Hmm.
We're not getting too emotional today. Don't do that. We're not forgetting that what we're going through. Let's just keep this thing in the middle of the road.
Mhm.
And that was the best approach for me. Like now, if you need, every caregiver needs time for themselves. So if you need to
True.
take a day, go take your day. Have
Right.
those emotions, but I need you while you're here with me. We need to keep it in the center of the road. So, and that's different for everyone. So, it's important to have those conversations and you can understand what a person needs from you when they need it.
Oh, that's really good. I mean, it's really good. Have the conversation. And plus, when you need that day for yourself, because
Yeah.
it's okay for you to because again, I've heard another, well, why are you crying? I'm the one that's got, sick. I'm the one that's dealing with this. I'm the one that lost my, what you crying about?
Right.
But we have feelings too,
Yeah,
that
that's
support
right.
system. And so it's okay to
It's
take your
okay.
day and be like, okay, let's tag out. Can you go sit today?
Yeah,
So that when I am there, I can be the best that I can be for the person that I'm giving care to. So
that's right. Yeah.
that's really good. That's really good. Girl, so you went through all of that though at one time. Wow.
I have to say, my daughter, she was in the 10th grade, I believe. She was a sophomore in high school. But, she was like my pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. She kept me from getting too far in my thoughts because I can be a really serious and focused person. But she helped keep things lively for me. She helped keep me laughing. She helped, keep me smelling the flowers. That's my girl. And I have to credit a lot of it to her for doing that.
Mm,
Yeah. So everyone has that person for them, and she's mine.
awesome. Awesome. Um, I had a question and it left when you were talking about her. I was just like, oh, how sweet. But oh my gosh, I had a question. Well, moving right along. Hopefully it'll come back to me. I know one thing that you're doing this month. Are you walking?
Yeah, yeah. So I have a self-sponsored walk taking place right now, and it's called Better After Cancer. And that is my way of giving back to others. I do have some friends who are experiencing cancer now, some who've just come out of treatment. And I also want to support some of the local initiatives here in my community. But for every mile that I walk during the month of October, I'm asking for sponsors to sponsor those miles. So I'm up to about 40 now. So, if this was the end of the month, it would be a $40 contribution. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Okay. And so if somebody wanted to support that or, be involved with that, what would they need to do?
So they just need to send me an email. My email address is origins of peace, ORIGINS, origins of peace at gmail.com. So just send the pledge. Just say, I'm in. I'd like to support your walk, or, whatever wording you would like to use. And then I will send you the link on how to make that happen.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. And so you're doing this till the 31st.
Yes, until October 31st.
All right, everybody, let's support Melissa. Let's do it. Let's get it done.
Nice. Thank
So
you.
that is the email address right there, originsofpeace at
Yeah.
gmail.com. Reach out, just reach out. Maybe, you have questions. Maybe somebody that you're going through, that you love is going through this situation. Maybe you just need an origin, a piece. You need to get reconnected to yourself,
Yeah.
even before you try to help somebody else. Because, what is the saying? We can't serve from an empty cup.
That's right.
I used to think, well, it ain't empty. It's got something in it. It's got a little crack, but, I can still, but honey, it was coming out the side, and so whatever was coming out from me wasn't good enough. It wasn't really serving anybody. It didn't have those nutrients that it needed
Yeah.
because it wasn't a full cup, an overflowing cup. And so it's so important, that we take care of ourselves. It's
Yeah.
so important that you know uh, everybody didn't read it on the flyer, but it says, I stand for, run for, walk for, pray for, cry for, I get tested for breast cancer.
Yeah.
So, how important is
Mm.
it, even once get to that age and people are like, oh, I'm still young, I don't want to do this. How important is it to get tested?
It is very important because, as I mentioned before, I didn't have any symptoms at all. So keeping those scheduled appointments when it's your year to get whatever test it is you need, get it. Don't assume that everything's okay. Don't push off till tomorrow what you can do today. Make the time. Love yourself enough to go get that mammogram, when it's your appointed time to have it.
Absolutely. And just when you were saying that, it's like whatever scheduled appointment it is, if it's time for you to get a colonoscopy,
Yeah.
if it's time for whatever it is, I know men get their exams, go get it
Go
done.
get it.
You
Yeah.
know, and later on in the month, we'll actually, hopefully, it'll be two or three, but I know at least will be one gentleman because, of course, we always say fight like a girl, but it's not just our fight anymore. A lot of men now are experiencing that. And so it's not just in women now. If you're listening to this, get your sons checked, encourage
Yeah.
your brothers, your uncles, your dad, whoever, your husband, encourage them as well to
Yes.
get tested.
That's right. That's exactly right. And early detection, if you find out a situation earlier in the process, then you have more time to deal with it. So
Hmm.
it's very important to keep those appointments.
Absolutely. And I like to try to make a little analogy. It's just like on your car, you got brakes. If you hear the squeaking and it's that time and you get them done before your brake goes into your rotors,
Yes.
your brake pad just breaks off and you can't stop on the highway.
Yes.
So let's be preventive, let's, get that done when it's time. So it can make a difference and,
That's right.
you will live longer.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to be here. I have a grandbaby now, and
Yes.
things could have went completely different in 2015. It
Mhm.
wasn't promised that I would be here, but I thank God that I am and I can watch her grow. And it's just a beautiful thing. So keep those appointments, get those tests.
Absolutely. And another another thing you alluded to, excuse me, was that, so has it been since the diagnosis, since you've been dealing with that maybe you changed the way you ate? Because I think you said you
Oh,
like
yeah.
to put more healthy, or what was the word you used for it?
Oh, yeah. I tell everyone after my diagnosis, I became Mother Nature. So I like to keep it as close to the earth as possible. So I do practice a vegan diet. I do use all natural products. I drink tons of water. And I know that that's not a guarantee that there will not be a reoccurrence, but it makes me feel better. It's easier to digest. It gives me more energy. And I can say that my body doesn't have to work so hard to, digest this or digest that or intake that, just keeping it as simple as broken down to the simplest form as
Mm,
possible. And I don't know if many people know, but sugar is an enemy. Well, sugar is a friend of cancer. So,
mm.
you really need to cut down on that sugar. So it's just like those small things that, you have to be aware of when you're in your fight.
And that's what I was going to say, ask about the sugar, because I know one of my friends was in the hospital. And, when people are in the hospital, you bring them candy and, try to bring
Yeah.
them things to make them feel good. And so one of our other friends came in and she had dealt with cancer before. Honey,
Hmm.
she went through them drawers. She
Yeah.
took out and I mean, she wasn't playing. And I didn't know at the time. I was like, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't going to stop her because I know she had a mission.
Right.
But, I didn't realize that how big a part it played.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't, but that's again goes back to that self-care, of finding out how to best care for yourself. Sitting down, taking a minute, doing the research, understanding what you were diagnosed with, same as, making those appointments, keeping those appointments, showing up, when it's time to show up. All of those are a form of self-love and self-care. And it's honestly what you have to do to show up as your best self.
Mhm.
And then
And
once you have the information, you share it with others so they'll know.
yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. I know. It's not that my mom doesn't tell her story, but I can't get her on the show to tell it. But
Yeah.
but I've seen that walk, and I have a cousin who's been through it and things like that, and an uncle who had prostate cancer, and so
Mhm.
it's different things happening, and that's the thing now too. It's like there's so many different forms. Before, like in my age, I guess they existed, but everything was just cancer. You know what I'm saying? We didn't
Yeah.
know that there were the different forms and different types, and they look different, they act different. So I'm just saying, let's do the best we can to take care of ourselves.
That's right. I saw a quote on Instagram recently, and it says, "When we recover loudly, we keep others from dying quietly." And that
Mm,
goes back to sharing your story. I just did an interview with my friend, whom I was telling you about earlier, that shared her diagnosis on Facebook.
mm,
And the
mhm,
whole point was about storytelling and how it brings healing. Because I can honestly say that by her sharing her story and by me seeing that she had been diagnosed, it put the period on the end of that sentence: go get a mammogram, period.
mhm,
So it's like when you voice what's going on, when you're sharing that with other people and you're letting them know that, hey, you're not the only one that's dealing with this or having these thoughts. That's how we each help each other and can be of service to one another.
mhm. Wow. And just thinking about that too, that even that statement, reminded me too of Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Yeah,
Because we're not telling the story, because we're not healing loudly, somebody else is suffering in silence.
that's
Somebody else, they're wanting out, but they only people they know never got out.
yeah,
And so unless you hear that there are options, that there's somebody who wants to help you, that you have to make a plan, because a lot of times you just don't even know what to do.
that's right.
And so when there's shows like this and different documentaries, and you watch them on TV, you're like, oh my gosh, I have an option. you
Yeah,
know
that's right. Each one teach one.
hmm
Yeah.
And so, every show we do, I try to base it on any area of life. Maybe you're not dealing with breast cancer. Maybe you're not dealing with domestic violence. But what is it that you're dealing with
That's
that
right.
you're not dealing with? What is it that is, that you have experienced
Mm,
that's causing you not to live your best life, to
yeah.
not live fully, and not to live out loud? You're in the shadows. You
Hmm.
have desires, you have vision, but you just don't think you're good enough. Who
Yeah,
told you you're not good enough?
that's right. And they
You
lie.
better tell them to shut up.
That's
The
right.
devil is a liar.
Yeah.
You are worthy. You are good enough. You are smart enough. And even if it's not, even if it is something that you don't know A through Z,
Mm,
but it's you got a desire. Like you might have a desire to distribute something or to create something, but you don't. Okay, a desire to create something, but then you don't know how to distribute it. It's
mhm,
okay.
mhm.
There's help for
Yeah,
every avenue, every part that you need help. So I
right.
just want to encourage you to take that time.
Yeah, that's right.
Go inside. Ask the Lord.
Mhm,
Ask yourself, are you sure you want to take this journey? You ready for this?
right.
Oh, yeah, I think we can do this. This
Yeah.
is what I really want to do. This is what I really see my life as being. And
Mhm,
it's okay to think big and to dream big.
right. That's right.
Okay? I just want
Mhm.
to encourage somebody. So
I
let's
I
see
can
here.
greatly appreciate that. Yeah. That's awesome. That's an awesome message.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break, Melissa. And again, when we come back, I want you to, again, tell everybody about the walk, how they can support, how they can become involved. Also, tell them how they can reach out if they want to, meet the coach of peace,
Yeah.
and need help in that area.
Okay.
And just like one last word of encouragement or information, whatever's laid on your heart. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll be right back.
All right.
I say that, and then sometimes I start talking to Alan, be like, "What?" So until we go to break, I just want to remind everybody that we are making connections with Aly. We are here every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Saturday at 12 noon. We are definitely celebrating and honoring all those who are dealing with breast cancer, who are supporting someone who's dealing with breast cancer, who, is even scared just to find out if they have it or not, don't want to go take the test. It's okay. Wherever you find yourself in, you can still be victorious. Whether it's domestic violence, you can still be victorious. I know a lot of times with that, people talk about the embarrassment. You know, I didn't think I would ever allow somebody to beat me. I didn't think I would allow somebody to control me, but there I was. But when they come out and they tell their story, they still gain more strength. They still gain more wisdom. They still are pouring out to somebody else who's still stuck and feeling like they're too weak. They're starting to believe all those things that are being said about them. But when they overcome and, we hear the stories of the survivors, it makes a difference. So tell your story. Don't be ashamed, right, Melissa?
That's exactly right.
And so, Alan, I think, are we going to commercial real quick? Okay. So, Melissa, go ahead. We won't do that. So, go ahead and tell everybody again about the walk and how they can support you.
Yes, so I am currently in the midst. It is the 15th, so we're in the middle of the month of my Better After Cancer Breast Cancer Walk. And I am walking throughout the entire month until October 31st. And for each mile, I am looking for sponsors to contribute to the walk. So far, I'm about 40 miles in as of December, as of October 15th. I've walked about 40 miles so far. And if you would like to make a pledge, just email originsofpeace@gmail.com. Let me know that you're in. The proceeds will be used to help some people that I personally know who are going through breast cancer right now. The day-to-day expenses can be expensive, things that they have to purchase and things that they're dealing with. And also, there are local agencies in my area that were very supportive of me as I was going through my journey, and I would like to make a contribution to them as well. So any pledge is accepted, any amount is appreciated. But again, it's originsofpeace@gmail.com to make your contribution.
And then your website is originsofpeace.com.
Yes, so you can find me at originsofpeace.com. If you are looking for creative peace coaching, I would be delighted to help you with that. So I focus on the 8 dimensions of wellness and help you kind of categorize how you're showing up currently and how to make improvements in that. So just go to the website. You'll see the link to get in touch and to make an appointment. We can have a consultation, see exactly what you need and exactly how I can help, and we can get started from there.
Okay. And there's one other event you're having,
Yeah.
sip and paint or something.
Yeah. So I am also having a paint, plant, and sip event, and that is based off of my company, Planters with Soul. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Planters with Soul. And I make unique flower pots. They have head wraps, earrings, eyelashes. They look good. My girls look good, but they're just unique holders for your houseplants. So I would love for you to join me. That event is happening on November 13th from 1 p.m. until 4 p.m. On my website, originsofpeace.com, if you click on events at the top of the page, it'll take you to the link where you can sign up.
Yes, honey, I love the little sip and paint party, so I'm trying to make that one.
Nice. Thank you.
I love that. I love that. And so I'll definitely continue to share your information and, get the word out. And we definitely here at Making Connections want to support you in your walk. Um, so we will make that contribution. And, my cousin, and so she's the one that connected us. So
Yes,
we will definitely, maybe I can get her to come to the sip and paint.
that would be great. Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, Alan, if you're there, if we want to go ahead and do the CTA and
Thank
we'll
you for being such a wonderful listening audience, whether you were listening live or on the replay. And don't forget to like our Facebook page, Making Connections with Aly and Shay, so that you can get notified every time we go live. Do you have a burning message to share with the audience? Contact Alicia Johnson at info@aliciajohnson.com. That's info at ALYSSIAJOHNSON.com with your topic idea and your message to be booked on the show. And if you're an inspirational speaker or a motivator or simply seeking a platform to share your message, contact Miss Alicia Johnson at info@aliciajohnson.com. That's info at ALYSSIAJOHNSON.com to be considered for 30 to 60 minutes of weekly airtime right here on the Making Connections Network. Again, contact Alicia Johnson at info@aliciajohnson.com. That's info at ALYSSIAJOHNSON.com to be considered for 30 to 60 minutes of weekly airtime, your own radio show right here on the Making Connections Network.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Making Connections. We have been talking to Miss Melissa Rivers today. She is a peace coach. Originsofpeace.com is where you can find out more information about that. And she is also walking. So if anybody wants to support her, um, what did you say after this? Is living
Better after cancer.
better after cancer, her walk for this month, and you want to be a support, reach out to her at originsofpeace@gmail.com to make your pledge. And so, Melissa, we definitely thank you for coming and for sharing your story and for
Yeah.
blessing somebody else with the nuggets and, just that reminder, hey, listening to our inner self when our body's telling us something and when, so our spirit is nudging us to be reminded that, hey, we might want to listen to
Yeah,
that.
definitely so.
Yeah. So, you guys, again, we're here every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. We are here for you. There are so many different things going on this month for breast cancer awareness, domestic violence awareness. There, I think in Charlotte on today, I can't remember the time, but the flyers on the page, there's a prayer walk, prayer circle happening for the city of Charlotte. There are people who are gearing up even for the Thanksgiving holiday, getting things so they can feed 5,000 people this year. So there's so many things going on, sometimes even in finding peace, it helps us to help somebody else, you know. And
That's right.
so do what you need to do though. Let's heal ourselves.
Mm,
Let's be full. Let's face this world with all that God has put into us, okay?
that's
And
right.
it takes time. It's a journey, like Melissa said, right?
That's
And
right.
so, Melissa, do you have any last words?
I just want to thank you for having me on. I really appreciate this. And also, just as Allie said, if you feel that, your challenges, trials, are overtaking you, please just take a minute to sit down and just be still. And if I can help you in any way, just reach out, www.originsofpeace.com. Um, Shoot me a note, and I'll be happy to assist you and coach you through the process.
Amen. Well, thank you again. We appreciate you. God bless you. Good luck on the walk and everything that you have going on. And
Thank
tell
you.
everybody that I really like, you're now your family. If you want to
Yes.
come back and there's something you need to share, the Lord is saying, hey, go talk. Reach out to me and we can make it happen, okay?
Nice. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, everybody, we love you. We support you, whatever we can do for you. Until next time, as always, we're leaving you with love, positivity, and good vibes. Have a good day, everyone. Bye, Melissa.
Bye bye.